Hey y'all, my name is Travis Lee. Today I have the pleasure of walking through how to use JobTread as a pool building or pool remodeling business, whether you're installing or remodeling gunite pools, fiberglass, above ground pools potentially. They're all going to have some consistency, right? We're hiring subs, we are purchasing material, we might have an in-house crew. These consistencies allow us to have a general path here in JobTread, and that's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to focus on the creation of jobs, tracking them through the sales and construction process. We're going to dive into estimating, selections, sending quotes. I'm going to briefly touch on invoicing, and then we'll dive into the scheduling side of things, and then also some of the project management tools. Without further ado, though, let's get going. Before I leave the homepage, I just want to mention on the left-hand side, you have this activity feed. So everything that happens within the field is going to get posted, right? So very similar to like Facebook here, you have a running log of everything happening, whether it's proposals being sent or daily logs being updated. Just a very nice feature in the system. Right-hand side, I have all my information about my active projects, but the coolest thing is I can customize all of this. So if I want to click edit in the top right, this allows me to go in and create new tiles so I can focus on the data that I care about most. This gives you the ability to have custom dashboards for potentially the CEO, the owner of the company, and then your field employees or project managers could be looking at different things. So just a really, really cool place to start. We have dedicated videos for this, so I'll save kind of further training for that. But just want to mention that very, very cool feature. Moving on from there, I'm going to go just for a moment in your main settings under the Web Forms tab. I like to mention this off the bat because this is where all your leads can start. And so you can create a customer and vendor web form that you can customize, you can build out with the questions that you want to ask. And this is something that can be embedded directly into your website. Really nice feature about this too is that you can completely modify the HTML that's copied so you can make it fit the look and feel of your website. You just need a web developer to help you with that. Cool. Moving on from there, I want to talk about what happens when someone actually fills out one of those forms. This is going to create either a customer or a vendor in the system, depending on which form that you're creating. But effectively, this is a list of your customer database or vendor database. It's all the people that you've worked with in the past. And so I think of this as an online Rolodex. It's kind of like the contacts on your phone. These are all the people that you've worked with over time. It's really nice. You can also see the financials for them. You can see, the other things like the lead source and the status. Those are what we call custom fields. So any additional questions that you want to ask for your customers or about your customers, you'll have the ability to set up those custom fields so you can start to track that information and also throw it on that web form as well. But I want to move to the most important thing within JobTread, most important tab, I should say, which is the Jobs tab. JobTread kind of makes sense. And so from here, what I'm seeing is a view that's very similar to customers, but at the end of the day, the reason it looks like this, kind of like a spreadsheet, is the top left allows me to modify what I'm seeing. So if I click this button, you'll see on the right-hand side of the page, I can modify the fields I'm seeing. So for example, if I wanted to see my project manager, all I would do is set up a custom field in your main settings, and then I would turn it on this view. This would give me that ability, but I can go one step further and I can group by the project manager, or I can filter by the project manager. So this gives you complete customization over how the job list or customer list or vendor list is being displayed. It's very custom in nature. The default works just fine too. It's just effectively a list of all your projects, but know that you can create custom lists for custom things. Moving down the list here, I do want to mention all of this data that we're tracking about the jobs. We have all of the financial information, all of the schedule information, all of the custom fields that you set up. This is where we see things like project phase, salesperson, PM, and then down below information about the customer and location. So there's all this data available to you. It's just a matter of how you want to use it. Also, you can sort and filter by different things as well. So I'm going to go through the process of just creating a brand new job. If you click that button here in the top right, plus job, that's going to allow us to create a new job. But you'll notice that this list pops up automatically. These are the existing customers in the system. So if I want to go down here and say, all right, Ricky, this job's for you. You click on the existing customer. If it is new customer, it's going to let you create a new customer on the fly. And then we'll see it default to the next job number. We can enter a description if we want. We can identify if this is a fixed price job versus cost plus. And then down below, this is the set of custom fields I've been describing before. This is what allows us to go in here and say, who's the PM, what's the job type, and so on. So moving on from there, I just want to highlight this really nice feature. You can upload a cover photo. This is going to make the portal look significantly nicer, because if you have a rendering of the job, if you have potentially a picture of what the project will look like at the end of it, and this is a great thing to upload. It's just going to make the portal prettier for you and the customer as well, getting them excited about the project. So I'll just create the job here. This is going to give me the job dashboard. I'll talk about this in just a moment, but I really want to mention one thing back on the job list that I'm a huge fan of. This is the Kanban view we're going to look at here in just a moment. If you haven't heard of the word Kanban, it effectively represents card-based organization. It's a Japanese word. This spreadsheet style view that we see right here is great for the customization features we just looked at, but I really can't understand or can't see where the jobs are at in the process right now. This is why I promote for all of my customers, and we give you a default version of this as well, is the job pipeline. So this is that same set of jobs, but it's organized them by their status. So the status is actually a custom field we've created, and this is displaying the answers to those questions as vertical columns, allowing us to visually understand where all the projects are at in the pipeline. The best thing about that, it's all custom, so I can customize the headers, and I can also just click and drag through the sales process. So it just makes it very, very easy. I feel like most people can understand this, so I promote all of my customers to use something like this. And just to show you how we got here, how we built these answer choices, this is going to live under the settings, under custom fields. This is where you could decide what you want to track about your customers, about your vendors, about the jobs themselves. And that's what we're focusing on right now. We have this project phase question. So if I wanted to customize those headers, just edit the field, modify the answer choices that are provided, potentially add new ones as well. And this is how you can make this custom to your company. So pretty cool. I'm going to skip back to jobs, and I'm going to go back into the job that I just created. And here I really want to just give you a preview of the dashboard. Left-hand side in this black area, this is where we see the overall job financials, just a summary. Everything's zero because we haven't even created an estimate yet. Below that, we see our custom fields. We can see who's involved in the project. Middle of the page, really nice feature. This is going to be your messaging system. So whether you want to just send messages internally, aka notes, you can do that. But this also gives you the ability to communicate directly with the vendors on the project, with the customer on the project. So it is a full communication system as well. Similar to what we saw on the homepage, we do have a Facebook type feed here. Everything that gets posted automatically will be logged. Please note, people will only be able to see what they have permission to see. Right-hand side of the page, this is where we see our cover photo, then location and weather information, obviously very important for a pool building company. But yeah, that's kind of the basic gist of the job dashboard. Now I want to shift into JobTread's bread and butter, the reason why most people buy our system. That's going to be the budget tab. This is, again, meat and potatoes here. This is the core of our system, and everything has kind of been built on top of this. The way you build an estimate in JobTread, first off, we only want to focus on this section in blue. That's the only thing that matters right now. This is where we go plug in all of our preliminary numbers, all of our costs, and this will help inform the price to the customer. You build this out by adding individual items, or you can add groups. Think of groups as templates. These are going to be the different templates for different projects that you do. I come from the remodeling space, so I might have a kitchen template, a bathroom template, a deck template, a couple different options there, right? But for you, you might just work off one master template for all of your projects. But if you do want to create different templates for different scenarios, just know anytime I use that word templates, I'm really referring to a group in the system. But you can add individual items as well. So if I wanted to add an item here, you'll see a list of all the existing items in your catalog. Most of the time, as a pool builder or remodeler, you're not creating this from scratch. You're working with an existing spreadsheet. Maybe you're moving from another system. Please know our team will help you build this out through an import as well. A lot of pool builders also really utilize the formulas. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So you're not having to hand identify the quantity for each thing. That's another option within the system too. So I'm going to skip over items for just a moment because templates within pool building are so important. So I'm going to click the plus group button. I do have the option to just type and search here. So if I wanted to type like pre-construction, you'll see it provides you the option to add a new group on the fly. But I really want to show you first what's possible with these templates, and then I'll show you some of the templates we actually provide you that might help you get started. So this top one right here, concrete build with selections, you'll see this pulled in a series of groups, many of which have full descriptions, so I can see everything I'm doing for the customer. This is meant to be the scope of work. And if you need more screen real estate here, just know you can expand this. You can click into a cell to open it up and see everything. You can also expand all the descriptions at once so you can really focus on like what you're doing for the customer. Cool thing is that this pulls into the document, so it's meant to be a one-stop shop. What are the items? What is the scope of work? How much of the product do I need? What am I spending on it? And what am I going to charge the customer for it? That's really the summary of this budget. So I'm going to collapse everything back down just to keep the numbers nice and tight. And I'm going to focus on the quantities and the cost for just a moment. Quantities and units are optional, but this allows you to identify how much. So 200 square feet at a unit cost of $20. That is what you are going to spend on that part of the project. My total cost here is going to be $4,000. But what we do is we take that number, we multiply it by the profit margin that you're trying to hit, in this case 40%, and we will calculate the price to the customer for you. You could always deviate from this. You can change that number as needed, but we're telling you what you need to charge the customer if the goal is 40%. So I'm going to save this real quick, and I want to show you one more thing. A really nice feature is, let's say permits go up. Permits are now going to be $1,500 for whatever reason. Notice as I update that cost, it's automatically going to update the price to the customer based off that goal profit. So JobTread is very much a cost-focused system. Understand your costs, apply the profit margin that you're trying to hit, that will calculate the price to the customer. And if you stick to that cost, you're making money, you're going to be good to go. So I'll go one step further here. Let's say, a part of the job, maybe the entire job, you can select it. And then you now have a series of mass actions. So I can go through here. I can do a number of things clearly. I'm going to focus on just setting the margin. So maybe we want to go crazy here. We want to apply a 60% profit margin because the customer's got buku bucks. Now we've just done that, at least for this part of the budget. So I'm at 60% profit margin. My new resulting base package price is $116K. If you're happy with it, if the numbers look good, then you just lock it in. Now my numbers are now saved. Couple other things I want to talk about though before we leave. Every single item here is going to be tied to both a cost code and a cost type. Think of cost codes as your higher level category. This is like an accounting category. So if you hook up to QuickBooks, this is what will sync to QuickBooks and create the invoice or bill under the appropriate product and service. The cost type is a larger, broader category, typically for labor, materials, subcontractor costs, and other. The nice thing about the cost type is that what allows you to pull a list of just your materials on the job, pull a list of just your labor items, so you can actually group and filter by these things as well. One other thing I want to mention here in the budget, very, very important, especially for a pool builder, is this blue selection group icon. So what that means is that we've set this up to have selections. You can do this by clicking the three dots on a group, show details, and it's as simple as turning on this toggle that says allow selections. When you do this, you are making the items under that group a choice to the customer. And so there's really two main ways to use this. The first of which is upgrades. So that's how this one's set up. How many selections are required? It says 0. Customer doesn't have to choose anything from the list, but they can, and they will. This is something that really can drive up the price of the job. What I love about this, again, is that you are not the bad guy. You're going to provide them a lower base price. They'll have the ability to see the pretty things they can buy. They'll kind of click on them, see how it impacts the budget, and trust me, they will purchase additional things. So that's the upgrade scenario. The other way you can use this is for pick between the following options. If they need to pick a tile, for example. So how many selections are required? I said 1. How many are allowed? I also said 1. And now it's actually providing a set of answer choices that they have to choose from. So a couple different ways you can use this. I'm going to switch this back to the first example for now. So let's say things are looking pretty good. I'm sitting at a extended cost, my total budget of $49K, price to the customer 121. It's a really good profit margin at 59. 71,000 is my expected profit. If I'm happy with this, if I'm ready to send it, you're going to do that by clicking this plus document in the top right of the screen. This is how you take these numbers and you can send them along to different people for different purposes. We have 5 different document types in the system. Very quickly to define what they are: bid requests for collecting prices from subs and suppliers. It's a really slick tool. You just send the email. They can actually click on the link. They don't have to remember username and password. They can access the plans. They can give you a number. Just really, really cool. Customer orders are going to be anytime you're sending a contract over to your customer, whether it's a design contract or a regular proposal. You can create templates for different purposes. Customer invoices are anytime you're trying to obtain money from the customer. Effectively, all these work the same, but these are naming conventions to help indicate to the customer kind of what it's for. The vendor order category is going to be for purchase orders or work orders, and then bills are going to be your actual expenses, receipts that you're adding to the system. Before I click into the proposal, I want to show you something real quick. If I go and to your main settings, and I skip over to this document templates tab, this is where I can go modify this list, modify these templates before I actually create the proposal. So obviously you have things like contractual language. You might want to add a cover page. This is where we sell it. This is where we make it pretty. Obviously our pool builders really love the presentation of the contract. And so that's why I'd highly recommend using a cover page. Under this design tab, this is where we can go modify which template that we're using for that. You can modify the text, and then of course you can upload your own image here as well. This is another reason why you might want to create different templates for different types of projects, maybe based off the type of pool. You can highlight a version of that pool in the past to help sell the project, but also maybe I just want to update it every project because I have renderings or something like that. Just know that's possible as well. If I go into the details tab, this is where you add in all that fun contractual language. It's a simple copy and paste, but then you can modify the formatting here as well just to make it look clean and professional. Below that, we do have some visibility settings, some defaults that you can set here, but really what we're doing is just setting ourselves up so we don't have to enter this each time, right? This is our template moving forward. So back to the job, back to the plus document button in the top right, just click into the proposal option. We're going to leave everything from our budget in this proposal. And then this will give us that pretty version that we're eventually going to send along to the client. So again, they're not seeing the cost, not seeing profit. All they're seeing are the overall numbers that you want to show them. So again, you can go in here under this design tab and modify that picture per project. So if you choose that route, just know you can choose a new picture right here. Back in the details, you can modify what's shown. So if I want to hide line item pricing, just know that's possible. If you want to show the quantity in unit or not, that's possible as well. And you can even use the groups to show and hide certain information. So I can click this little eyeball to hide all of the items under that group. So they don't even need to know that those things exist. They don't need to know that there's a further breakdown. You have a lot of control over how you present this to the customer. But keep scrolling. This is where we see the fun stuff, right? So now customer can start to drive up the price of the project. They can play with this. They can see how it impacts their final number at the bottom. No, I don't want the 4, I want the 8 therapy jets, right? So they can go in here, choose all their options. And again, your $120,000 job, whatever it was before, has increased by $10,000 just by presenting the options to them. So very, very powerful tool. They will choose those more expensive options. Definitely highly recommend that. Below, you'll also see a built-in financing option, which does change the amount based off the total price of the project. You see the terms and conditions and signature line ready to go. So let's say we're happy with it. We'll save, we'll send. You can have a templated email message. I recommend modifying it per customer. But once you click send, you're off to the races. So at this point, this is going through email. Customer's going to receive it. So this is what the proposal looks like. Very simple. It's your logo, your colors, your custom message. And then the link, all they do is they click on that link in their email. They're automatically signed in. No username, no password. They can upload files. They can ask questions. But effectively, they are now in the customer portal. This is where you can choose to send all the documents to them, to share the schedule with them potentially, which I'm a huge fan of. Share the daily updates, share files. What you show the customer is up to you. We'll show you the permissions later on, but this is going to be their new home. Down below, they see all the contents that you chose to show them. I pre-select many things for them. That's a really nice option. If you talked about something in person, you just want to choose it for them, but still present the other options to them. Again, we're sitting at 133. The customer can play with the numbers as they wish. Then down below, once they're ready to go, sign away. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the job. So this has now been approved. What's really nice is down below, you'll be able to see signature with the timestamp as well. And then also on the right-hand side, really, really nice features. You can see exactly when that thing was signed. Every single time they look at the document. So if you're sending invoices hypothetically and they're seeing them but not paying them, maybe you make a phone call. Just a really nice piece of information as a salesperson. But what this is done is it has set the price of the project. So if we go back to the dashboard, I'm going to see my new approved price. I've got the job. And then back in the budget, this is where everything else in the budget becomes relevant. Notice if you scroll off to the right, we're going to see the budget has been set, the price of the project is set, and I see my profit projections as well. So this is really, really nice because everything to the right of this vertical line right here is going to respond a little bit differently. On the left-hand side, that's our estimate, right? That's that scratch pad where I plug in all the preliminary numbers. To the right, that's my paper trail. That's how I got to this point. So, for example, the permits here, if I'm trying to modify this number and I click on it, it's not going to let me. It's because this is the paper trail of how I got to 1,500. The only way to modify this number is through a change order. So let's do one real quick. If I go to plus document, click on the change order option, for whatever reason, let's say the price of permits has increased, I'm going to create a change order with only that one line item, but I might want to adjust how much, right? So maybe the cost has increased $1,000. Just plug in 1,000. Maybe you want to charge a higher margin just because of the difficulty of obtaining the permit. It's going to push back the job. You can save that, send it off to the customer, gain a signature. I'm just going to approve it for the sake of the example. But if I go back into the budget, what I've done is I've driven up the price of permits. And if you click on it, I now can see it was $1,500 on the original proposal, but it increased by $1,000 through this change order. And these hyperlinks take you exactly to the document in question. One thing to note on that is that this is not just changing your budget, but it's also changing the price to the customer. So I could see here their price has increased from $3,750 up to $7,000. It's through these two documents. So change orders can also be managed by creating a new group at the bottom called, for example, change order number 1, adding the items under that group. Both work. It's just a matter of personal preference. So that's the basic process of plugging your numbers, modifying margins, modifying amounts, and then sending the final version over to the customer for approval. In pools specifically, you will run into situations, of course, where they want to modify the proposal, add certain things, remove things. I know there's many versions that go back and forth. I typically recommend voiding the document. So if it was, a question, they don't want to move forward, you can decline it, provide a reason. The reason would be customer decided to make some changes. Then you can go back into the budget, make all your modifications, and create a second version. You're not going to lose that first version. That's something that you can always go back to as well. I mentioned a little while ago that we provide you templates as well. So I'm going to start fresh and wipe this thing clean. You can do that by clicking this checkbox in the top left of the screen. This is the mass actions again. I can just delete everything. And so now I have a blank slate. And so what we provide you, in addition, of course, to helping you with the imports, is a set of global templates. There's some cool things in here like access to some supplier databases. Down below, this is where you'll find the template. So I'm going to click on pools. And we have 3 options: a detailed, a simple fiberglass template, and then we also have a very advanced gunite pool build and spa option with formulas. So formulas, I alluded to these before, but I want to show you exactly how this works. So I'm going to click on this and add this into the job. And this template came from one of our local customers here in the DFW region. They built this out to utilize formulas. And so you'll see something different. It's this TBD, this yellow in the budget. That is telling you that you have parameters that are not filled out that impact what this measurement, what this quantity will be. And so it's indicating to you that you need to go and put in your measurements. So if I go up here up top and click on parameters, I'll see the full list of measurements. So I don't want to bore you through going through kind of filling this out. I'm just going to plug in some numbers real quick. All right, now that I've filled out my numbers, I just want to click save, and you'll see immediately all of my quantities are now complete. So the way this is done is by incorporating formulas into your items. This is absolutely optional. Generally, this is not something I'm introducing on a first training, but I did want to show you the extent of how this can be built out. If you click on the three dots next to an item and say show details, you can see this little formula icon here. If you click it, it allows you to type in a formula. So you're really picking one of two routes. Do you want to manually type in the quantity every time you do a job? Or do you want to set it up to be based off a formula? And the cool thing about that is like something like the pool area can actually fill out the quantities for many, many items, right? They're job level parameters, so many items can reference the same thing. But to show you that, I really wouldn't recommend going line by line. You're going to want to turn on a column in the budget, and you can do that by clicking Budget View Settings and go over to our quantity formula column. And now I can see the equation that is determining my quantity. To give you a basic example, I'm going to expand this to give ourselves some more room. Let's say I take my plumbing run. You see how it's referenced several times, but in this case, it's helping determine the quantity of the pool return T, the skimmer line 1, and the skimmer line 2. But plumbing run is the parameter. I can tell that because it's wrapped in those curly brackets. When you see that, it says, hey, that's one of the parameters that we see on the list right here. Plumbing run is going to be this one right here. It's going to take that value, and in this case, it's going to multiply it by 4, so a total of 200. And the ones below just have a different calculation based off the item. So really simple example, if I wanted to get, gallons of paint, I would take the linear feet of the wall, multiply it by the height of the wall, divide it by how many gallons a single paint covers, which I would call the paint coverage. And if you set those up as parameters, an estimator would just click on the parameter list here. They would fill out those three measurements, and then that would spit out the gallons of paint. So just want to note here too, we have totally separate trainings that cover this, and we can get very, very detailed, but these are all the items I can incorporate into my formulas. We have functions, we have math operators. Very, very cool feature. We see it quite often with pool builders. So that is the extent of what I wanted to cover with the estimating section, sending off proposals. Just want to make the point real quick, when you're ready to invoice, most of our pool builders, of course, have a payment schedule of some kind. You're going to do that by clicking plus document, choose the invoice option, and then it's going to default to the remaining balance. So if you want to invoice 25%, 50%, you'll have the ability to do that and set up payment schedules as well. All right, so I have limited time left, so I wanted to focus on a couple final things. One really important thing a lot of our pool builders focus on is the schedule. So if I go to the schedule here, this gives me the ability to pull in a template that I've already created. So we also have a series of schedule templates that we provide, but I'll show you that by clicking this import button here in the top right. And I can say import from the library, and I can choose to pull in my own templates or some of the templates we provide you down below. I'm going to go with this concrete pool build schedule, click import, and first thing is just identify the start date. So I'll say tomorrow, starting quick. And down below, this is a full Gantt chart. So if you're not familiar with Gantt charts, effectively what this is, it's similar to a calendar, but instead of each week starting on a new row, it actually goes out horizontally. The advantage of something like this are dependencies, right? You can't install the rebar until the hole is actually dug, right? Simple things like that. But the way you set up these dependencies is clicking and dragging one dot to the next. And what that does is when you shift one thing, it shifts it all together. So I could talk about Gantt charts for days. Just know you also have a month view, week view, day view as well. So you can slice and dice it however you want. There's certainly more to show here. Within each task, you have the assignee, you have a description, you potentially have a checklist. And you can also upload files, and there's a full messaging system too. So there's a lot here. I'm skipping over some of the details for now, just because I want to show you also have the ability to see a company-wide calendar. So the default in my example is just a list of my incomplete tasks, but I can switch over to the all task calendar. Very powerful tool. What I want to highlight with this is the ability for you to one, see everything happening across all jobs, but then two, filter this down to things that you care about most. I highly recommend creating a sales calendar. So focus this on individual task types. These are tags, these give the task color, just visually makes it more appealing, but it also allows me to create filtered views. So if I want to say, hey, only show me my excavation items because I have an excavation crew, then I can see only those, and maybe I save this as my excavation calendar. And what you're doing is building out a set of calendars here that allow you to focus on what's most important to your company. So highly recommend modifying those task types, have it fit your business. A really common one is like sales appointments, for example, just so they can keep that separate of the actual construction calendar. A lot to show here, but I do want to move on to the project management stuff. So back in the job I created, one of my favorite and easiest things to implement is daily logs. So what are daily logs? They are simply project updates every day. I could show you here on the computer, but in real life, this is something that's happening in the field that helps keep everyone on the same page together. Let's hop on the phone real quick and I'll show you what I mean. The first thing to do is just open the JobTread app on your phone. I would say get everyone to get JobTread on their phone. You can see things like the active projects. Just click into one of them and then click this clipboard icon in the top right of the screen. This is going to automatically pull the weather data for you, but at its core, daily logs are just notes and pictures. If you want to ask additional questions, if you want to provide a spot for internal notes, you certainly can. Trades on site, visitors on site, things like that. You can curate the form for your employees, but clearly something's not going right at the job site today. From here, I can document then with pictures and videos, right? So I can take a picture of these hats, can take a picture of these shirts. I can also take a picture of some weird stuff here in the office, like the Danimal, which we'll see here in just a moment. Walk around the corner. I see this frightening image of the Danimal. He's on our sales team, and he's an animal, so therefore he's the Danimal. So hopefully you're actually taking pictures to pools, right? But this is just showing that you can document this on the job site away from your computer. And when you're done, you click save. And the beautiful thing is back on my job dashboard, this immediately updates without you even refreshing the page. It's a rolling activity feed. So anyone doing things at the job site, that's automatically going to pull into JobTread. It's going to create my history over time. Customers don't know things are going on behind the scenes. If it's raining, you're not working. Even documenting this on rainy days is something I would highly recommend. Just makes them feel like they're being taken care of. People are actually working on the project. That's going to lead to better reviews for your company as well. So within the Files tab, this is defaulting to a list view. I love the grid view. Just to see a preview of the pictures makes it very easy to locate that specific one. You can organize these into folders or into tags. I prefer tags, it's just personal preference. You can have multiple tags on a single file. It makes it so where you can say, show me all of my completion photos using J&D products, for example. So I think it just makes it very easy to locate files across all jobs later on. But all of your daily log files are automatically going to filter into this Files tab. But all of this is click and drag. So if you wanted to go to your computer, go to your email, something like that, you wanted to go pull in some images, maybe we want to look at some deck colors or something like that, we can just pull those into the job. Just drag it anywhere on the screen and that will upload into the Files tab. Just makes it very easy to get those files in the system. So I alluded to the fact that you could see files across all jobs, right? So we'll show that real quick. When you click the Files tab along the left-hand side, again, this will show all those files. And the cool thing about this is that you can use these tags and it shows the files regardless of the project they were uploaded to. So it just makes it very easy to drill down to specific files that you're looking for. And I think from a like creating marketing content perspective, it's just a really cool tool. So again, folders though, very, very popular as well. It's just a matter of preference. But uploading the files is the most important thing. Document the projects, create the history of those projects, and you'll have a plethora of content to choose from later on. So I do want to wrap this up. Thank you for walking through this with me. We walked through creating jobs, tracking them through the sales and construction pipeline. We talked about building estimates, sending quotes. We talked about the schedule. We also talked about daily logs. There are so many things I haven't discussed today, like time tracking, like the plans tab. There's so much more you could do. I just wanted to focus on really the core for all of our pool builders and pool remodeling companies trying to use the system. So thank you for watching. We think we're a fantastic fit for you. On the flip side, just want to highlight, you have a team of people ready to help you, right? You have your customer success manager here in the top right. You have our support team, which is ready for quick questions along the way. And then you have a plethora of training resources too. Whole team here is available to you. We're ready to help you. Ready to get you up and running. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.